the heck is going on?
What's up, family? What's up? Man, I'm going to go ahead and get started with this video. I know it's kind of late, but I want to jump on and have a real heart-to-heart with you guys today, all right? Searching for love. Searching for love. You know, it's crazy because I hear so many people asking me about love, you know what I mean? And Elijah, I can't find the right one. Elijah, I can't find the right one. And man, what's wrong with me? How come? What's up, Janine? How come we can't find love? You know what I mean? How come there's no more good people available? Where's all the good guys? Where are all the good women at? You know what I mean? Seems to be a conversation that everybody wants to talk about now. You know, it's love. What's up, Michelle? And I remember as a young man, again, I grew up in a very toxic environment, you know what I mean? Man, there was no love showed, you know what I mean? There was no affection shown or given in the house whatsoever, you know what I mean? We weren't shown love in that aspect, you know, we were shown love in the aspect of we provided a house for you, you got food, you got a bed, you know, it is what it is. But as far as, all these planes want to fly now, but as far as, we're giving you hugs, as far as us telling you that we love you, as far as us giving you a kiss in the cheek, you know, a kiss goodnight and all that other stuff, man, we never got that. You know what I mean? We never got that. And so as a young man, I've always wanted love. I've always been searching for love, right? And so I had all these expectations of what, you know, my queen was going to look like, you know, what my queen was going to be like. And so, and I remember, I think most of us do this as kids, you know, man, I remember my sisters, they would talk about, you know, their Prince Charming, you know, they would talk about the person, the guy that they were going to hook up with, how tall he was going to be, what he was going to look like, what he was going to drive, the clothes he had on, you know what I mean? And so I remember doing this as a young man, my girlfriend, my wife, she's going to look like this and she's going to be like this and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, right? And I never found that. I never found that. And it's crazy because even though I was looking for this specific person, I never found it. And people would always tell me, man, your expectations are too high, your standards are too high, you're never gonna find anybody like that. And so after looking for this person for such a long time, and it's like I knew this person existed, I just hadn't found them. I knew this person was around, I just didn't know where. You know, and so I'm going, everybody that I'm talking to, I'm looking at them, is this the one? You know, nope, this ain't the one. Is this the one? And so I'm jumping in all these different relationships because I'm looking for love. I'm looking for my ideal woman. You know what I mean? I'm looking for this person that, man, I imagined as a kid. I'm looking for her. I know she exists. You know what I mean? And so after a while, man, you settle. After a while of not being able to find this person, you kind of give up on your dreams. After a while of not being able to find this person, it's like, oh man, maybe my standards are too high. Man, maybe I am tripping, you know, and you start lowering your standards. And I lowered my standards so many times, you know what I mean? I lowered my standards because I started to believe that this person didn't exist. I started to give up on all the things that I wanted in a woman. And if the truth be told, this is what a great majority of us do. We give up on our dreams. We give up on the ideal of love from a particular person and being, and the ideal of what love is. You know what I mean? And so we just start accepting BS. We just start accepting just crap. You know, we like the people, we care about the people, but they're not the ideal person for us. We like the people, we care about the people, but if the truth be told, that's not the person we were really looking for. You know what I mean? The person we're really looking for was not them, and we know it. And when the relationships go bad, we get so mad because we realize that, man, I lowered my standards for you. I knew you weren't the one, and I lowered my standards to be with you, and you still dogged me out. I lowered my standards to be with you, and I knew that you weren't the one, and you still had the audacity to treat me the way that you did. You know, and it's crazy how that happens. You know, it's like, you know that this ain't the one. You know that, man, if the ideal one was there, this person had no chance in the world. But because we've lowered our standards and because we stopped believing in what we're capable of having. I'm gonna pause it for a second because the motorcycle's getting ready to get started.
I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Start it up.
Oh, I'm on the live, so.
Okay.
It is what it is, you know what I mean? And so we lower our standards, and we lower our standards thinking that, man, because I've lowered my standard, man, this person's going to treat me like whoop, whoop, whoop. This person is going to see all this in me, and they don't. They're not, you know what I mean? And the reason why is because we're supposed to learn a lesson in that. We're supposed to learn a valuable lesson in that. And so what happens is we go through all these relationships, and every one of these relationships is supposed to teach us something about us. We're searching for love, but every one of these relationships is supposed to teach us about who we are. But we're looking at the other person. But it's not about the other person. All these relationships, we have to start looking at them like this is school. This is school. So whether this person, you know, is in a 10th grade, and I'm not saying that they're a grade, just look at the relationship as years in class or years in school, you know, in high school and in college and all this other stuff, you know what I mean? And so you learn so much about who you are. You learn so much about who you are by being in this relationship that you would not have learned. You know, and then I talk to people like, man, I've been married for 50 years. I've been married for 65 years and and all this other stuff, right? And it's like, that's cool. That's great. You know what I mean? And there's like, man, you should just find one person and just stay with that one person. It's like, okay, that would be ideal, but that's not reality for the great majority of people. And why should people who've been in multiple relationships and who've learned something look at themselves as a failure because they didn't find that one relationship and stay in that one relationship? And that's what we teach so much because, oh, this person's been married 3 and 4 times. You know, they're not good because look how many times they've been married, whereas this person's been in a toxic relationship 30, 40, 50 years and they stayed there and they're miserable. You know what I mean? And so it's like we have to grow up. We have to grow up and we have to start understanding, man, it's not about other people. It's not about other people at all. It's about us. I don't care how long you're in a relationship. If you're not growing, man, what the heck are you doing? If you're not learning about who you are, what the heck are you doing? In every relationship, you're supposed to be learning something about you. In every relationship, I don't care how toxic it is. You're supposed to be learning what's up, Ingrid? You're supposed to be learning some valuable information about you. What's up, Golden Melanin? You have to learn about you. And so often we jump into relationships and we get focused and fixated on the other person, on satisfying the other person, on being everything for the other person, that we stop growing. Our growth and development becomes stagnant. I was talking to this young lady a few days ago, and she was talking about all the stuff that she's gone through. And she was telling me how that her family was putting her down and dogging her out because of all the crazy relationships she's gone through. And now I was explaining to her, well, she was talking to me and she was telling me how bad all of her relationships were. And how she went from a guy that was physically beating on her. She got out of that relationship. She went to another relationship where a guy was an alcoholic, got out of that relationship, got in another relationship where a guy was just verbally abusive to her. He didn't do drugs, wasn't physically violent, but he was verbally abusive to her, talking down to her, calling her outside her names and all this other stuff, right? And so she's gone through all these major relationships, right? And people are like, man, you suck at picking men and you shouldn't be picking men no more. And your choice in men is sucking, da, 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 da. But every one of those relationships, she's learned so much. Every one of those relationships helped her grow and to become who she is today. Every one of those relationships taught her some things about life that she would not have gotten had she not gone through those relationships. But so often we look at people and we're so quick to put people down and say, man, this person's sucking, this person's not a good person, and man, they're Their judgment is suspect, and we're quick to say all this ignorant stuff, not understanding that, man, God's using all these lessons, God's using all these examples, God using all these situations to develop this person and to grow this person. I agree, I understand. Not everybody grows. You could be in 5 different relationships and not learn anything about you. There's people that get out of one relationship, ain't learned nothing. Been in one relationship a long time and still ain't learned anything. So it's not about how many relationships you've been in, it's about how much work you're willing to put in to learn and grow yourself. I think back and I look at the different women that I've been with. And when the relationship was over, it's like, man, I couldn't stand them. You know what I mean? I couldn't stand them at all, you know? And then as God worked with me, and once I was able to get past the emotional frustration of that relationship and just the craziness of that relationship, and I was able to see the lessons, and it was a Libra love, and I was able to see the lessons in that relationship, and I was able to see where I grew it. I see how that person helped me grow. I see how that person helped me learn to discover me. I see how that person helped me learn to discover another aspect of who I am, another aspect of my purpose. Man, it completely flipped. My views and perspective of that individual completely changed. I no longer looked at them as this toxic individual. I no longer looked at them as, man, this person is, man, I'm glad to get away from them. I looked at them as, man, this person was a teacher for me. This person taught me so much about me. And it wasn't that they specifically taught me anything. It's that the fact that I was in this relationship with them taught me so much about me. So if you're in a relationship, and it may not be the type of relationship you desire, it may not be as loving as you want it to be, it may not be as passionate as you want it to be, it may not be as intellectual as you want it to be, it may not be as spiritual as you want it to be, it may not be as physical as you want it to be, whatever, you know. I want you to sit back and start understanding, what have you learned by being with this person? Forget that person. I don't care what they've done to you. It ain't about them. It's never about them. You know, and we get so caught up on, man, they won't do this and they won't do this and they're doing this and they're doing this and they're saying this and they're a liar and they're narcissist. Man, well, you completely missed it. You completely missed it if you're focused on that person. It's not about them. It's about the lesson that you're supposed to learn. What's up, Natalie? I hope I pronounced that right. It's about the lesson you're supposed to learn. What lessons are you learning? And when you learn the lesson, you stop looking at that person as being so bad. You stop looking at that person as being so negative. You stop being so angry and pissed off for having been in that relationship. If you're still pissed off of a relationship you've been in, you didn't learn the lessons you were supposed to learn. I'm gonna say again. If you were in a relationship, and I don't care how it ended, if you're pissed off, if you're bothered, angry, upset about how that relationship ended, why the relationship ended, any other stuff, you haven't fully learned all the lessons you were supposed to learn. You have to go back through and sit there and process each one of those relationships and understand, man, God, what were you trying to teach me through this person? What was I supposed to learn in this relationship? Because we keep saying it, same crap, different day. If you don't learn the lesson, you're going to keep repeating that class. You're going to keep repeating that lesson. God's not going to elevate you. He's not going to give you the man of your dreams. He's not going to give you the queen that you want until you learn those lessons of the relationships that you were in. Why would he bring you your heart's desire if you haven't learned the lessons? He's not going to bring you your heart's desire until you go back in and process all of the other relationships and heal from those relationships. And you can only heal from those relationships by understanding the life lessons in those relationships. Once you understand the life lesson, then you receive the blessing. Say it again. Once you understand the life lesson of every relationship you've been in, everything that you go through, there is a life lesson in it for you. There's a life lesson for the other person, but we're not talking about the other person. It ain't about them. It's about you. It's about your growth and development. Once you learn the life lesson, Then you can receive the life blessing. You can't receive the blessing until you learn the lesson. So many people, man, they want their queen. They want, their soulmate and their twin flame. They want all these people to come into their life. They're looking for their perfect king and all this other stuff. And man, that person exists. They exist. They probably don't exist right where you're at. They probably don't exist in the general location you're in. They probably don't exist in your vicinity right now, because there's a lot of stuff that you still need to learn. There's a lot of stuff that you still need to heal from. But we keep putting off the healing because we don't want to deal with the pain and suffering. We don't want to, quote unquote, deal with that drama. So we don't want to think about that. And when we think about it, we get pissed. When we think about it, we just think about all the negative crap. When we think about that relationship, we don't think about the lessons. We think about what that person did instead of trying to figure out what the lesson was. Instead of sitting there saying, okay, God, what was I supposed to learn? God, what was I supposed to learn? We don't do that. We sit there and start thinking about Billy Bob or whatever his name is, and how he cheated on you, and how he stole from you, how he beat you, how he mistreated you. We think about all that stupid stuff. That's not the lesson. Once you learn the lesson, and you can only learn the lesson by connecting with God. I say that all the time. You can only learn the lesson by going within and talking and communicating with God through meditation and through prayer. Once you learn that lesson, you're able to move on. Once you learn that lesson, now the healing process starts. Now you don't have to go through that crap anymore. Now you don't have to deal with knuckleheads like that anymore, because you learned the lesson. You keep having to deal with knuckleheads that mistreat you and disrespect you and whoop-doo-doo because you refuse to grow up and learn the lessons. And because God is so loving, God is going to keep making you go through. God is going to keep making you go through that same lesson over and over and over again until you grow up and acknowledge the fact that you've been distracted and not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Learn the lesson. Learn the lesson. It's not that people are bad people. It's just that you're supposed to learn some lessons. You don't want to learn the lessons because they're painful. 52 years old. People say, man, you don't look like you're 52. Especially I'm outside the YMCA right now. I'm getting ready to go in and work out. And I get told this all the time by older people, younger people, whatever. Man, and I believe, just my beliefs. I believe that when you're connected to God, what's up, Christian? When you're connected to God, God will preserve you. I'm going to say it again. When you're connected to God, God will preserve you. He'll preserve you as you're going through your lessons. He'll preserve you as you're in your dark space. He'll preserve you as you're going through your trials, your tribulations, all the chaos and the drama and the trauma. He'll preserve you. He'll keep you. And so because he knows that you're going to learn, he knows that you're going to grow through this situation. And as you grow through that situation, he's been preserving you so that when you're ready for your queen, when you're ready for your king, he can present them to you. And man, it's only cracking. You know what I mean? It's good. It's all good then because you've been preserved. This is so many people. So I hear so many women, man, my biological clock is ticking. My biological clock is ticking. Man, get connected to God. Get connected to God through meditation. And you ain't got to worry about your biological clock ticking. You know what I mean? And it's a trip because I see women and I know women and guys that, man, we're in our 50s, 60s. We look so much younger than people in their 40s. You know what I mean? So much younger than people in their 30s and in their 20s. Not because we're perfect, not because we're great. You know what I mean? It's not because of anything particularly that we did, other than we were connected to God. Other than we're so connected to God. And people always say, man, what is it? Black don't crack, you know? And it's like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I know a whole lot of black guys in their 20s, in their early 30s that look a whole lot older than me. I know a whole lot of black women, young women, in their 20s and 30s look old as hell. Because of the lifestyle that they choose to live. They look like they've been through it. And so we got to get rid of that stupid stuff, you know, black don't crack. It's just like everything else. There's white people, there's Hispanic people, there's Asian people that look young, look like they've been preserved. And then there's the same people in that same group, in that same family, same mother, same father, and they look old as hell. So it's not a racial thing. It's a connection thing. Who are you connected to? Everybody that said they're connected to God ain't really connected to God. Everybody said that they pray and talk to God ain't really praying and talking to God. And the trip is, that's right, Michelle. And that's the trip, and that's the thing that I was going to talk about. You could have gone through hell, pure D hell. And nobody would believe that you've gone through all the hell that you've gone through. Why? Because you don't look like it. You don't act like it. So that's the difference between most people. Most people that go through a lot of stuff, man, they want everybody to know that they've gone through this stuff because they still have this victim mentality. And they're still blaming everybody else for all the crap that's happened to them in their life. People that have that victim mentality, they're still stuck on, man, that's not fair, and this is not fair, and this person should have did this, and man, they're stuck on that victim mentality. And it is what it is, you know what I mean? I don't have a heaven and hell to put anybody in. I don't stand as anybody's judge. I'm making this video because, like, man, if you want to be preserved, if you want to be preserved, then you have to do what you need to do to be preserved. So that, and learn the lessons, so that when your time comes and divine timing comes, because you put in the work, and now you can receive your blessing, and you'll be young enough to enjoy your blessing. You'll have the strength and the activity of your limbs to enjoy the blessing that God has for you. But you're not going to get that blessing until you put the work in. We're so childish in our mentality. We're so childish in our spiritual thought process. We think all I got to do is name it and claim it and grab it and blab it and grab it. You know what I mean? And that's what church has taught us. You know, just name it and claim it, and it's yours. No, you got to put some work in. You have to put the work in. You know, in the spiritual movement, we're talking about, man, just all you got to do is just speak it into existence and manifest it. And okay, yeah, no, that's not how that works. You got to put the work in. You got to be emotionally capable, spiritually capable of handling the blessing that you want. It's a trip because most people say, man, God won't put more on us than we can handle. Think about this for a second. God won't put more on you than you can handle. If God won't put more on you than you can handle, and if you're looking for your king, you can't handle a king yet. If you're looking for your queen and she ain't popped up in your life, then come on, you ain't ready for your queen yet. Because God ain't gonna give you what you can't handle. You can't handle $5 million, and that's why God ain't gave you $5 million. It don't matter how much you gamble. It don't matter how much you play the lottery. It don't matter how much you play lotto. You know what I mean? It is what it is, family. We have to grow up. We have to grow up and start accepting responsibility for our life. And stop blaming everybody else. It ain't about anybody else. It's always all about you. It's always about you. How are you going to react to the situation? See, the trip is, we could get something in life, and then one thing could go wrong. I was just talking to this young lady, and this one thing could go wrong, and we'll blow up. One thing will go wrong and we'll get so pissed off, so frustrated, so mad, and it'll just cause our whole day to be bad. Because this one thing didn't happen the way we wanted it to. This one thing didn't happen the way we thought it should. And now we're mad, now we're angry, now we're frustrated. And we spend our whole day frustrated. We spend our whole day angry. We spend our whole day mad. We spend our whole day tripping. The mature person will be like, okay. And there's levels to this. The mature person will be like, dang, this didn't happen the way I wanted it to. This didn't happen the way I expected it to. Okay. What are you trying to show me, God? What are you trying to show me? Why isn't this happening the way I think it should? Why isn't this going the way I thought it was going to go? Do I have control issues that I'm not realizing? Am I putting up unrealistic expectations? What is it that you're trying to show me in this not working out the way I thought it should? Because there's always a lesson. Are you trying to show me that I'm easily distracted? Are you trying to show me that, man, although I have a roof over my head, although I have food, although I have somewhere to sleep, and man, the activity in my limbs, and I could do pretty much what I want to do, but now this thing didn't go right, and now I just completely forget about all the things that are going right in my life, and I get so fixated on this one little thing, and I'm now pissed off, and I'm ungrateful, and I'm mad, and whoop-de-doo, and I'm speaking all this negativity, and I'm spewing all this stuff out into the world. I'm releasing all this negative energy into the world. Because I'm frustrated, because I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm disappointed that I didn't get what I want. So I'm completely dismissing all the things that are going right. It's like you taking a test, and on your test, it's 500 question test. You get 490 of them right. You got an A. Out of 500 questions, you got 490 of them right. You got 10 wrong. Some people, they're going to look at those 10 that they got wrong, and they're going to get pissed off. Some people are going to look at those 10 that they got wrong and be mad and get on. Some people, you could do 500 things in life for somebody. 490 of them, you do right. 10 things, man, I messed up. You know what I mean? My bad. I dropped the ball on it, man. I didn't do it exactly how you want me to do, whatever the case may be. I wasn't able to come through for you, whatever the case may be. But because I couldn't come through for you in this one time, or this time, whatever the case may be. But look at all the other stuff that I did. You know what I mean? Don't put me in a box and say that I suck. Don't put me in a box and say that, man, I ain't no good. Don't put me in a box and say that, man, you this, that, when all this other stuff has been done for you. And that's what we do. We do that with our relationships. I know parents who their kids come home and the kids are frustrated because they got all A's and one B. And the parents frustrated, how come you didn't get an A in that class? Well, you should have got an A in that class too. And what do we do? And it's like, what the hell is this? There's nothing wrong with striving for perfection, but ain't never one of us perfect. Nobody's perfect. So why do we have to have this perfect image in our head? I was talking about this when I started the video, talking about, man, this ideal woman that I want in my life. And I was dismissive of so many women because they didn't meet my expectations. Stay with me. Because they weren't perfect. And what God had to show me is that, like, Elijah, hold on, time out. Bro, you ain't perfect. If you ain't perfect, how the hell can you expect and demand somebody else to be perfect? You want the perfect woman, but you ain't the perfect guy. You want the perfect wife, but you ain't learned how to be the perfect husband. You ain't learned how to be the perfect man. You want the ideal woman, but you ain't an ideal man. And if the truth be told, that's where a lot of us are. We want the perfect king. The wind just picked up. We want the perfect king. We want the perfect queen. But we don't want to deal with our issues. We don't want to deal with our imperfections. And we tell people, this is how I am. You just got to accept me. This is the way it is. You know what I mean? It's like, no, no, no. We don't have to just accept you for that. You got anger issues. You need to deal with that. I'm not dealing with this madness with you. You know what I mean? No, no, no. Oh, you got a lying problem. You might need to deal with that. You kind of promiscuous. You might need to check that out. Why? And again, ain't nobody perfect. But you need to check and be responsible and accountable for your actions. And part of our growth and development is understanding what we're capable of handling at that time. I'm a totally different person than I was 10 years ago. Totally different person. What I could deal with in a relationship now, I couldn't deal with 10 years ago. But it took my growth and development for me to understand what I was capable of dealing with. And that's part of setting up boundaries. But you have to know who you are. You have to know who you are in order to have healthy boundaries. We're searching for love. We want love. We need love. But the truth is, what's up, Big Boogie? Most of us don't want to do the work in order to receive that love. We don't. We want people to just accept us for the way we are. And again, to each their own. I'm not perfect. The lady that's in my life now, I know she's not perfect. You know what I mean? I don't expect her to be perfect. I don't expect her to be perfect. Oh, I can't even talk. I don't expect her to be perfect. You know what I mean? There has to come a point in life to where it's like, man, I love me. I've gone through all these toxic relationships. Why? Was supposed to say, I've gone through all this crap because I didn't love me. I wanted everybody to love me, but I didn't know how to love me. I wanted everybody to validate me, but I didn't know how to validate me. I wanted everybody to accept me and to embrace me, and there's a whole bunch about me that I didn't like. We have to grow up, you know what I mean? And man, that's all part of our growth and development, you know what I mean? It's understanding who we are. Understanding why we are the way we are. There's nothing wrong with searching for love. There's nothing wrong with having expectations for love. You know what I mean? Not expectations, but having a certain standard. You know what I mean? Having an ideal person for you. Because the ideal person for you is not going to be the ideal person for somebody else. The ideal woman that's in my life now isn't the same ideal person for somebody else. But the trip is, and I was talking to her on the phone yesterday, and I was telling her, I said, you know what? All the women that I was all the women that I was talking to, and all the places that I was looking for love, I was looking for her and all those people. I was looking for her and all of those people. But she wasn't those people. My expectation was for all those people to be her. And so I got in all these relationships expecting her, but it wasn't her. And then I got frustrated and mad because it wasn't her. Stay with me. And so each one of those women taught me something about me. Why? So that at this point in my life, at 52 years of age, I'm now ready for my queen to appear. I'm now emotionally ready, spiritually ready for my queen. Why? Because I've gone through the school of hard knocks. I've gone through all these different situations. I've gone through all these relationships. I've put in the work. I stopped being a victim. I stopped blaming them for why the relationship ended. Those relationships had to end because they weren't my queen. They weren't the right one. They were just with me for a season. to help me learn some stuff about me, to get me a little further on my path, to get me a little further on my journey, so that as I got closer to this point in my life, I was more prepared. And each relationship that I went into, I was a little more prepared, a little more prepared, a little more prepared. They were grooming me for my queen. And so how can I sit back now, even though those relationships ended, even though those relationships are toxic as hell, and man, it was crazy. How can I sit back and be angry and bitter that those relationships ended? How can I be angry and bitter at how and what transpired in those relationships? I sit back now, it's like, man, in complete gratitude. I am so grateful that I went through all that I went through. I'm so humbled that I was able to learn what I did. I'm so grateful for those individuals. There's some of them I'll never talk to again. You know what I mean? Don't want to talk to them. One of them just told me the other day, and I mentioned this, my younger kid's mom. I met her in '99, I believe. And she told me that she's still the same person that she was 20 years ago. And I'm like, that's the fucking problem. You know what I mean? That's the problem. You're still the same person. To each their own. You know what I mean? You can't be the same person that you was 20 years ago. You can't be the same person that you was 15 years ago. You can't be the same person that you was 10 years ago and say that you're growing and developing. If your spirituality is the same level as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, there's a problem with your growth and development. If you're on the same level emotionally that you were on 5 years ago, there's a problem in your growth and development. So every lesson, every situation is supposed to teach us something. Every situation is supposed to prepare us for the next stage, prepare us for the next lesson. Why? And once we finally graduate, now God can sit back and say, you know what? You're ready. Now I can trust you to bring you your queen. Now I can trust you to bring you your king. Why? Because I know you're not going to damage them. Now I know you're not going to hurt them. Now I know you're not going to take them for granted. Now I know you're not going to mistreat them. Now I know you're going to appreciate every moment that you have with them. Why? Because you struggled so much. Why? Because you've gone through so much just to get here. Now, when something goes wrong, you're not going to tuck and run. You're not going to be so easy ready to give up and walk away. Because you've grown so much. And once you get with that king, once you get with that queen, understand, growth and development continues for the rest of your life. It just means that you're ready for this king. It just means that you're ready for this queen. They're going to help you learn other lessons. And you're going to go through lessons together. As a couple. Growth and development never stops. And if it does stop, there's something wrong. You never get to the point to where you arrive. Because it's a never-ending journey. The journey doesn't end until we pass over. And then the journey just ends in this aspect of our physical realm. Our spiritual being continues on. Searching for love. Searching for love. How bad do you want love? See, because so many of us, we give up on love. It ain't worth it. So many of us, I see so many people, they've given up on love. They've given up on relationships. Just give them a damn dog, give them a cat or whatever, and they're completely happy now. They're completely content now. And again, to each their own. To each their own. I'm not here judging anybody. You know what I mean? I didn't come here to hang out with no damn dog. You know what I mean? I didn't come here to hang out with no damn cat. I'm not neither one of those things. You know what I mean? I don't like them. You know what I mean? I want a woman. And to each their own. If you homosexual, that's you. Whatever you want, you want. You know what I mean? I'm not here to judge anybody. I don't care. You know what I mean? Don't settle. So many of us, we settle so much. And if you settled, okay, man, it is what it is. You can't change the past. Learn the lesson. Learn the lesson and make the best of what you got. You know what I mean? Until you get into your next season. I'm not telling you to go divorce that person. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know what I mean? If you settled and you feel like if you feel like you stuck, man, you got to do what you got to do. You know, you got to do what you got to do. But you have to keep growing. You have to keep growing. And if you're stuck, get unstuck. Get unstuck. You didn't come here to get stuck and stay stuck. You have options. You know what I mean? You ain't got to stay stuck. You ain't got to stay miserable. My hope and prayer is that you do the lessons, you learn the lessons, you put in the work so that you could get elevated to a place where you could receive your queen, to a place where you could receive your king. Because I promise you, that person exists. That person exists. And the trip is, I was born and raised in California. My soulmate, my queen, the person I've always been searching for wasn't in California at all. I would have never found her in California. The person that I was looking for and have been looking for my entire life lives on the other side of the country. But there's phases to this. There's levels to this. To all aspects of life, there's levels to this. There's seasons. Just like there's seasons, times of the year, winter, fall, spring, summer. There are 4 seasons. There are levels to this. There's levels to your growth and development. Once you master this, then there's something else that you're going to have to work on. There's something else you're going to have to be focused on. Once you learn that lesson, then there's something else that you're going to have to be focused on. There's something else that you're going to have to learn. So once you get your queen, once you get your king, don't mean that the lessons stop. It just means that you're going into a new season of your growth and development. My hope and prayer is that you fall in love with you. You have to fall in love with you. You can't expect your king, you can't expect your queen, and you don't even like who you are. You can't expect your king, you can't expect your queen if you don't even like the way you look. You have to learn how to accept you for who you are. If you don't like the way you look, man, how can you expect somebody else to like you the way you look? And the trip is, and all the women I've ever been with, they've always tripped out on this. If you put all the women that I've been with together, they're all different. You know what I mean? They're all different. They don't look the same at all. At all. Different shapes, different heights, different skin color, everything. They're all different. They're all different. Their personalities, everything. They're all different. And the truth is, the queen that's in my life now, that was my ideal woman when I was a kid. That was my ideal person when I started looking for love. But because I started settling and I gave up hope on ever finding that person, I started looking for love in all the wrong places, in all the wrong faces. And what all those people taught me was, you got to love you. And when I learned that, man, God was able to elevate me. He was able to move me to the next level, and to the next level, and to the next level, and to the next level, until he was able to say, okay, Elijah. It got to the point to where, and I'm just being real with you, and I'm just completely transparent right here. I started saying, man, you know, I love life. I love who I am now. I love who I've grew into, who I've evolved into. I love where I'm at in my life right now, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I love life, right? And it's like, all right, God, if I got to be a monk for the rest of my life, you know what I mean? If love isn't for me, if having a queen in my life isn't for me, man, it is what it is. So be it. I surrender that. I'll be a monk if that's what I need to be. I release having to have that type of relationship. I let it go. When I let it go, what I said was like, God, but if my queen is out there, and I'm supposed to have this woman in my life, God, I haven't picked too well. You know what I mean? My picking is suspect. You know what I mean? God, you're gonna have to bring her to me. You're gonna have to bring her to me. There's certain things she's gonna have to say right off the rip that's gonna let me know that it's from you. There's a certain connection we have to have right off the bat to let me know that it's you. There's a certain vibe that we have to have right off the bat to let me know that it's you. I'm not going looking anymore. I'm going to live my life. And so many of us, we stop living because we're waiting for our king. We're waiting for our queen to appear. No. Live your life. Do what you came here to do. Get busy. And in the process of doing your work, in the process of walking your journey, in the process of doing what you came here to do, once you get on the right path, man, that's where you're going to find your queen. That's where you're going to find your king. The problem is we ain't been on our right path. We've been on everybody else's path, trying to make it work with them. Wondering why we're frustrated, wondering why things ain't working out for us, because we're on the wrong path. So once you get on your path, once you start walking in your purpose, once you start walking in your power, once you surrender control, and once you completely surrender to God in the aspect of, okay, God, you know better than I do who my queen is. And a trip, when we connected, she already knew. She'd been known. I didn't know. There's certain things that I didn't know. There's certain things that I knew. But I didn't see her. I didn't see it as her right off the bat. Until we started talking a little bit more. And there's a scene in Avatar. I love that movie where I can't even remember the girl's name. She says, I see you. I see you. And what she's saying is, man, my connection with you is real. Man, it's not physical. It's not about how you look. It's not about what you have. There's a connection that's so deep. There's a spiritual, emotional connection that we have. And most of us, man, we settle for just a physical connection. We settle for great sex. We settle because they look good, or they're 6'4", or, you know, man, she got a nice body. You know what I mean? We settle for that superficial stuff. We settle for, okay, well, he has a job. We settle for, okay, well, he treats me nice. No. You can have all that you want in your queen. You can have all that you want in your king. You don't have to settle. And I've always wanted somebody deep, somebody spiritual, somebody intellectual, somebody that could sweep me off my feet. And I had never found that. Never. Until recently. Man, we have to stop settling. We have to acknowledge that we've been settling. We have to acknowledge that there's some work in us that we still need to do. And because there's some work in us that we need to do is why we keep settling. Is why we keep lowering our standards. That's why women can hook up with a guy that ain't got no job, no source of income, ain't trying to get nothing, but want to sit at home and not do nothing all day. At all. That's why a guy can hook up with a woman that look good, but she has nothing of substance to her. But she's pretty. She's good to look at. She can't cook. She can't clean. She don't bring anything to the table. We can't have no deep intellectual conversation. We can't have a conversation about anything spiritual. She's just good to look at and maybe have sex with, if that. We got to get it right. We got to get it right. Man, family, I'm about to go in here and work out. I love you guys. I love you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for tapping in and the comments and just your energy, your beautiful energy. Family, my hope and prayer is that you discover who you are, that you fall in love with who you are, that you connect to God. And again, not just praying, but that you connect to God and get in alignment with God. And ask him, what is it that you're supposed to be working on? What is it about you right now that's prohibiting him from bringing you your king, that's prohibiting him from bringing you your queen? There's something blocking that. There's something blocking that. And so we got to get connected to God to figure out, man, what is it that I'm doing? What is it that's going on internally that's blocking this? You know what I mean? What unresolved issues am I carrying? What unresolved issues have I ignored? Who am I still holding on to that I need to let go of? What am I holding on to that I need to let go of? Because whatever it is blocking my king from coming into my life. Whatever it is blocking my queen from coming into my life. We could go through things. I mean, I say that, you guys hear me say this all the time. We go through things all the time. Don't just go through it. Grow through it. Grow through it. It's one thing to go through some chaotic, traumatic stuff. That didn't do you any good if you didn't grow through it. You can't elevate until you grow through it. Learn the lessons, and then you'll receive your blessings. I love you guys. Happy healing.